Good luck turning me into dessert.
Hi, I'm Ashley Cardona, pastry chef for circa 1886. Thanks for having me on, and I want to challenge you with an ingredient that I love doing on my menus with cheese courses. So I'm going to give you feta. Best of luck.
Welcome back to Key Ingredient, the show where every month a chef or subscriber gives me an ingredient to work with and I turn it into a dessert. This month's key ingredient is Chef Ashley Cardona from circa 1886 gave me this ingredient to work with, and she said that she likes to use it in her cheese courses. I could eat a cheese course for days. And I know that typically I've been making a dessert with whatever ingredient that I've been given, which is, what the point of this whole thing is. But the role of a pastry chef is that they make more than just dessert. They make things like bread, viennoiserie, savory stuff. And I kind of did that with the tarragon episode. I made a tarragon croissant. So it was dessert adjacent, but part of me still felt like that was cheating. So I don't know if I want to do that. I still want to make something sweet. So I heard feta and I immediately thought I'm going to make a cheesecake, but that also felt like cheating. And I also just recently did a cheesecake with the chorizo episode, so I didn't want to do that again. And then I thought, okay, maybe I'll make an ice cream. But then I thought that everyone would think oh, of course he did. Of course he made an ice cream. So I don't want to do that either. I just want to be perfect. So when I first started researching feta, I wanted to see if there were already some desserts out there that I wasn't aware of that incorporated feta, but I didn't find any. So I don't think that there are any. I thought maybe there would be some Greek pastries out there that I'm unfamiliar with, but I didn't find those. And I was not about to do the influencer, here's my baked feta dish. I'm not doing that either. But this whole thing led me down a very deep rabbit hole.
Hey, why waste a few hours of your time? Don't worry about your episode. Be here with me now and learn all about me.
Did Greece really invent it? Why is it so salty? Is Kurr a form of the Greek surname Kouris? And am I the heir to the Kouris dairy farm in Thessaly? I love cheese, I love salty foods and the color blue. Am I secretly Greek?
Are you? Pay only $19.99 for instant access to a genealogy website to know for sure.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. So the recipe development, it took a long time and I didn't actually do it. So then I just decided, I'm not going to do any recipe development this time. I'm not going to test anything. I'm just going to jump into this and make it blindly and hope that it works and rely on my technique and skill and see if it turns out all right. But I did learn some things about feta. And I have really bad ADHD, and I also am very easily influenced, and I also have very low willpower. So one thing led to the other, and I kind of fell under the spell that feta had cast on me. But I came up with a few different things that I was gonna make, and I kept saying no. And by the end of it, I was really frustrated. And if I still had a chef coat, I probably would have burned it. Which I have done before, actually. Do you remember that restaurant I worked at where I asked for a raise? Shut up. Okay, so I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Ashley's comment about a cheese course or a cheese plate, and I'm going to play off of that. And I'm going to turn it into a cheese plate sort of dessert in a way. So I'm going to make a karpartka, which is not Greek, it's Polish, and it's not really a cake either. It's more like a pie. It's more like a Saint Honoré type of dessert, which is French, which is also not a pie. It's kind of just like a big cream puff, honestly. So there's gonna be some layers of choux paste. That'll be the top and the bottom, and I'm gonna bake that thin in a cake pan so it'll be kind of flat, and I'm gonna spread it really haphazardly so it's not even. It's gonna bake up and kind of look like a mountain range, which I guess is what it's supposed to do. And then I'm gonna fill that with a feta diplomat cream. So I'm gonna blend up some feta into that and hope that doesn't come out too salty or savory and that it's good. And then on top of that, I'm gonna add in a persimmon compote layer. I might swirl it in, but I might just layer it on top. I'm not sure yet. for a nice crispy layer, I'm gonna make a cashew Florentine that I'm gonna bake very thin, and then I'm gonna coat that with white chocolate, which will prevent it from being soggy, so that when I put it in the fridge and chill it so that it sets, it won't like absorb the moisture because sugar is hygroscopic, and that will stay crispy and crunchy, and that'll be like a nice contrast between like the soft on soft on soft, which no one wants. And then I will sandwich the top layer of choux on top of all of that, garnish it with some feta cheese powder, and then I'm gonna brulee some chunks of actual feta and put that on the plate, and then garnish it with some honey, like some really nice honey, so it'll be like a cheese plate, kind of. Yeah. This whole thing is gonna be like reminiscent of a cheese plate that you would order at a restaurant. You get the cheese and the honey and the nuts and the fruit. I don't know if this will work. I don't know if I'll like it, but that's what's happening, which is also a common theme in my life right now. And I think that's it. Yay! I'm terrified. Let's do this. First, I'm going to make the persimmon compote so that can be fully chilled and ready to go. I'm using fuyu persimmons here. They're slightly sweet and kind of sliced like an apple, and also because the color will stay pretty vibrant when I cook it down. They're also in season right now, so that's perfect. There is another variety of persimmons, and those you shouldn't eat raw, and they're a little more bitter and need to be cooked or baked into things. These are also really sticky, which is kind of annoying, and I can't stand sticky things on my fingers, but here we are. I'm going to add those to a pot along with some sugar, salt, a little water, and when that comes up to a simmer, I'm going to add in some lemon zest, and then cover it and let it cook for a bit. Next, I'm going to make a little cornstarch slurry and add that to the pot so it'll thicken. Normally slurries are just made with something as basic as water, but I'm just using lemon juice here because I don't want to waste anything. It was looking a little dry, so I added a little more lemon juice. And then off the heat, I'm going to add in some orange zest, vanilla, and some Saigon cinnamon because it tasted just a little flat. Honestly, I've never truly been blown away by persimmons. I've always found them to be kind of bland, but these were okay. On to the diplomat cream. I actually don't know why it's called that. I don't think anyone actually knows, but if you do, please tell me. It's really just a pastry cream lightened with some whipped cream, and sometimes you can have some gelatin or other kind of stabilizer mixed in there. So I'm gonna mix my sugar and cornstarch together and then add in the egg and the yolk and then whisk in the milk. And I don't have any milk. I knew I should have gotten milk. Well, I guess we're using almond milk. This really isn't that big of a deal. It just won't be as rich or have as much body, but that's fine. I'm the only one eating this apart from a neighbor who I deliver desserts to after I make them and hope that he's telling me the truth when he says that they're good. I'm gonna cook this on the stove while whisking, and it'll go through stages. You know when it's done when the mixture does a little bit of a glub and bubbles, and then cook for another minute after that. Then you're actually done. I love when I get to use this fancy chinois. It makes me feel like a professional. I'm gonna strain the cream over the butter so that'll save me a step, and then I'm just gonna whisk in some vanilla, and always add the vanilla off the heat so that you don't flash out the flavor because it's alcohol based. Now I'm gonna pour it onto a sheet pan so that it'll cool faster, and then cover it with some plastic wrap so that it doesn't develop a skin on top. I do appreciate good skin, which is why I exfoliate, cleanse, use a vitamin C retinol serum, followed by a squalane eye cream, probiotic peptide moisturizer, and rosehip oil, and use an AHA, BHA peel every 3 days, but good skin doesn't improve pastry cream. Now this just needs to go into the fridge to fully cool, and that's it. The Florentine, or whatever you want to call this, is really just a lacy, delicate cookie. So I'm gonna chop some cashews and then add in some malt powder, some salt, and some more salt, and a little bit of black pepper. And then I'm gonna melt some butter with sugar, cinnamon, corn syrup, and milk on the stove. And then once that's fully melted, I'm gonna add in the nut mixture and mix that in. I'm not really trying to cook it here, just mix it up. Next, I'm going to pour that onto some parchment, cover that with another sheet of parchment, and then roll that out very thin. I know that this looks gross, but it won't be, trust me. I kind of love whenever I get to use a rolling pin. There's something about it that's just massively satisfying. Now this is gonna go chill in the freezer for about an hour, and then I'm gonna bake it after that. I need to deal with this immediately after it comes out of the oven so that it doesn't harden on me. I didn't have a cutter that was the size of the pan that I'm using to finish the dessert in, so I had to use this and cut around it. And this will crisp and harden up as it cools. That one's for me. Choux paste should be giving you a little bit of a workout. If it doesn't, you're not doing it right. So I'm gonna mix my butter and water, salt and sugar and flour and cook that on the stove. And it does matter how long you cook it because that is gonna affect the finished product later on. I'm gonna throw this into the mixer just to release some of the steam for a little bit. And then I'm gonna add in the eggs one by one. It should be shiny and sticky, but not soupy. It should look kind of like this. Next, I'm gonna grease my pans and then spread the finished choux paste into the pans. I've never baked choux quite like this before, so it was quite the treat to see how they were baking up in the oven. Do these look like the Carpathian Mountains yet? Let's find out. Now, you want these to be set, but not wet, and not overly dry. You don't want them to be crumbly and brittle. These turned out great. Look, they look like little mountain ranges. Now to finish the diplomat cream, I'm going to blend some feta with a little bit of heavy cream so that when I add that into the whipped cream later on, it'll be fully smooth and it will incorporate much better. Now that the pastry cream is fully chilled, I'm gonna whisk it to loosen it up a little bit because it's a little stiff. Then I'm gonna fold the whipped cream into that. I just love creams and mousses, they're so good. I once dated someone who felt the same but much stronger, and they once had me make a bowl of whipped cream, just like a full batch, just so that they could eat it, and they did. I've never done it with that, but I've done it with pie, ice cream, cake, croissants, madeleines, cookies, marshmallows, hot fudge, caramel sauce, and this karpartka. So to assemble this, the first layer of choux goes in first, and then I'm gonna top that with some of the cream, and I'm gonna spread that out just to fill any deep cavities, and then on top of that, we'll go the compote, which I'm not gonna swirl in, I'm just gonna layer on top and then add a little more cream on top of that. Next, the Florentine layer will go on top of that, followed by the top layer of choux. If it seems like I'm forgetting something, that's because I am, which should surprise absolutely no one. Right about now is when I realize I didn't coat the Florentine in white chocolate, so it's going to liquefy in the fridge and get soupy and be gross. I'm gonna brulee some chunks of feta cheese using my favorite kitchen tool of all time, the blowtorch. I actually did 2 layers of this. I bruleed one layer, added some more sugar, and then bruleed it again. This came out a little softer than I expected, which could have been a number of things, but it's fine. I'm gonna place a slice on a plate and then dust that with some powdered sugar that I mixed with some feta cheese powder, and then panic about looking like an abject failure because this didn't come out how I pictured it in my head. Just when I thought I couldn't feel any worse, the cheese made me feel even worse.
The honey drizzles just like a spider spinning its web. Attack it! Attack it! Come on!
Okay, so that didn't turn out like super pretty. It's fine. So the crispy layer is gone. Ooh, those persimmons are good. The honey is good. The feta is good. Could it be stronger feta? This is nice. Hey, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, or leave a comment telling me how I suck. Or if I'm great. Or if I'm cute. Whatever you want. Just engage. Thanks, bye. I'm not the chef or subscriber, blah, 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 blah. When I first saw feta, I thought feta in a dessert, I don't want to eat that. I don't want to eat that. A feta dessert, I don't want to eat that. I don't want to eat that. A feta dessert, I don't want to eat that. A feta dessert, I don't want to eat that. I don't want to eat that. A feta dessert, I don't want to eat that. A feta dessert, I don't want to eat that. I don't want to eat that. A feta dessert, I don't want to eat that. I don't want to eat that anymore. A feta dessert, I don't want to eat that. A feta dessert, I don't want to eat that.